Victorians would say of number 2 is that to get Round World back on track, the wizards have to get 2 key people born. These people are genuine Homo sapiens, not Pan-Narans, the storytelling ape. But this proves tricky. And the 2 people they need to get born are Isaac Newton and William Shakespeare. Basically to give us the science and the arts, the sort of universe-centred view of what's going on, and the genuine humanity. Okay? Science of DiscWorld 3, we now have to somehow, yet again, it's all sorted out very nicely at the end of Science of DiscWorld 2, so what do you do for the 3rd one? Well, of course, you introduce a new threat. And it's not so far off what Steve Baxter was talking about for disaster scenarios. Okay? So we have this very original idea, Round World is in trouble again. But this time it's not the elves. In fact, it doesn't seem to be anything to do with the Discworld universe at all. Round World has got itself into trouble. All of their own accord, apparently. And in Victorian England, contrary to the particular leg of the trousers of time in which we all live, and which the wizards fought very hard to restore, the Victorian scientific establishment and the Victorian Church of England religious establishment got on like a house on fire. They really they came to a very comfortable agreement, and they sort of carved things up between themselves, and the scientists paid proper attention to the religious side of things, and the religious people didn't argue too much about the scientific explanations of things. And as a result, technological progress slowed down because it was all much too cosy and comfortable. And that's a disaster for Round World because in the first one we know that a few centuries into the future, despite global warming, there is going to be a massive ice age and humanity has to get off the planet, and it has to have the technology to do it. And it all turns out to be the fault of the Reverend Charles Darwin, who wrote a book called Theology of Species. And everyone loved it. The scientists loved it, the church loved it. It was great. And this, of course, is a reference to the very famous Richard Dawkins' blind watchmaker. William Paley, very smart man, very intelligent, wrote a book called Natural Theology, which was kind of what the intelligent design fraternity have now picked up on, saying living creatures are so complex and they look like beautifully intricate machines, they must be designed. And to summarise the argument, and he opens up his book with this: suppose you're walking on a heath and you find a watch. And you look at this thing and you think, that didn't just get there. You know, it may have been dropped by accident, but it doesn't exist by accident. Look at how wonderfully designed it is for telling the time. There must be a watchmaker. So by analogy, if you find a frog on the heath, I don't think Paley actually used frogs, but it's a nice frog. There must be a frog maker.
There's a guy here with a question.
Yeah. So it's all right, did this in art, we did this in RS. You referred to the stone and how complicated the planet itself was.
Right, yes. I mean, you can work your way up from complexity level upon level upon level. And it's a big puzzle. Now, why is a frog? A frog is beautifully designed to do what frogs do. On the other hand, if you actually trace the history of a watch, you see the watchmaker putting it together from bits and pieces in his workshop, and you do not see the frog maker putting the frog together from bits and pieces in his workshop. You see a frog and another frog getting together, and from this emerges a tadpole, which eventually turns into a frog. This is the sort of thing Jack was talking about yesterday. But of course, if you are a very, very intelligent theologian, you can rapidly argue your way to, well, what's really interesting here is not the origin of this frog from previous frogs. Where did the whole frog makes frog system come from? Okay, so that's Science of Discworld 3. So the wizards have to get Darwin to write the right book. It is not Theology of Species. It is The Origin of Species. And we spend a large part of the book talking about the distinction between the ology and the origin. Okay, Science of Discworld 4, we have a really, really, really new idea here.
We had to have a new idea to persuade Terry.
Yeah. Oh yes, I should give away the... It turns out Round World did not get itself into trouble of its own accord. It was a sinister force, namely the auditors of reality, the cosmic health and safety officers who think a universe is really nice if absolutely nothing ever happens in it. Okay, so now we move on to number 4. Right, really original idea. Round World is in trouble again. It's sitting on a shelf in Rinswin's office gathering dust. Apart from, I can give away a small piece, apart from an incident where the students keep borrowing it and forgetting to sign it out. It ends up in a pawn shop. It's not the elves. No, that's an old idea we've done, that's old hat. No, it's not the elves, it's not the auditors of reality. No, done that as well. And it's not even Pan Narans, the storytelling ape, getting into trouble of his own accord or her own accord. Pan Narans is halfway to Homo sapiens, right? It's us, most of us. No, it's much more interesting than that. It's an extremist sect of Omnianism, which is going back to the good old religion in the days when Discworld was definitely considered to be round. As explained in Small Gods, they get very extremist under Vorbis. They are rescued, and the religion becomes a much more humane religion. Well, one sect, the sect of the Church of the Latter-day Omnians, is going back to fundamentals. So, this sect particularly is absolutely convinced that this world is round, despite all the evidence that it's flat on the back of a turtle. And they want custody of Round World because it's a religious emblem. In fact, they basically feel they have the intellectual property rights to it. And they have issued a holy writ to get it back. Now, the wizards are not very happy with this. And the book opens with another experiment in quantum thermodynamics, which is where the great big thing is being switched on by Lord Vetinari, pushing the big button. And harking back to the first Discworld book, is assured that there is very, very little chance it will actually destroy the entire universe. And there is a lawsuit, and Lord Vetinari... Discworld has a guild of lawyers, but it doesn't actually have a legal system as such. It doesn't have a court system as such. But it does have ad hoc tribunals put together and presided over by some local bigwig. And in Ankh-Morpork, if it's a big case, the local bigwig is Vetinari. And the wizards are horrified to discover that Vetinari is taking a really, really close interest in this case and is going to preside over the proceedings. they get really worried about this because they haven't got a clue which way he's going to